Welcome, everybody, to episode 7 of the Coffee Break podcast. Oh, this is going to be a rough one. So, since our last episode, which was before Easter, I apologize for not coming in to film. Since last episode, the New York Islanders had been eliminated from playoff contention. Disbelief is an understatement. This episode is going to be mainly this is going to be like an emotional based podcast. How I'm feeling about both of my teams at this very moment. I have no notes prepared for today because I knew I was going to come in and rant. I can't believe that the Islanders ended up missing the playoffs. They were in a playoff spot for 75-80% of the season and just completely rolled over and died since the Olympic break. They lost more games than they won. They still ended, 10-0 in overtime games. They haven't. I don't think they even played an overtime game since they won against the Blues, which had to have been over a month ago. It was definitely over a month ago, and because Braden Shen was traded like 3 or 4 days before that game. And, still the team never was able to tally another, an extra point at least. Just a point. A point would be nice here and there, man. I'll take an overtime loss here and there. I'll take an overtime loss, twice a month. I'll take that. Obviously, I'd rather the wins. But it's just shocking to me that, the biggest thing with the Islanders last year is that they had no last year they finished with 15 overtime shootout losses. 15 points they left on the table where they could have made the playoffs at least. It's frustrating because you saw that number decrease drastically this year and still couldn't figure out a way. And I don't know what had happened. Matt Barzal, man, he has been my least favorite player to watch on this team since the Olympic break. He's been dreadful. Him and Scott Mayfield. I continue to express my I don't want to say hatred, because at the end of the day, I love this team. But Scott Mayfield's hard to watch too. Matt Barzal has been the worst player to watch out of anybody on this team. He's been brutal. And, I went to the game against Philly when we were home for Easter, where they lost 4-1. At that point, it was a must-win game. And every game down the stretch, last 7-8 games, they were all must-win games. And the Islanders ended up dropping the last 6 of 7 games to end the season, only winning one game against Toronto, who's bottom of the barrel. Should have won that game against Chicago. That's one thing. And it was something I didn't understand either, because they lost a game to Chicago, but then I think right before that, they win a crucial game against Columbus. Then lose to Chicago on that Tuesday, and then play the Stars, who's one of the best teams in the league. Never mind the West. They're one of the best teams in the league. And let me shut my ringer off. Hold on. One of the best teams in the league. You win that game. It's a huge win. You beat Florida. You should win that game. You should beat Florida. And then you play Pittsburgh, And that Pittsburgh game was just the nail in the coffin. Didn't look like anybody cared anymore, especially Matt Barzal. Didn't look like anybody cared anymore. Pittsburgh game, they were up 3-1. Lose what? 8-3, 8-4, something like that. I think it was 8-3. They scored seven unanswered. It's just frustrating. They lost that. It's just the way that the Islanders just completely let the season go down the stretch. But that Philly game really angered me. Matt Barzal enters the zone on the power play, weaves his way around the net, throws a no-look pass that's 100 miles an hour at Pulock that he can't even handle, and then 2-on-1 the other way, shorthanded goal. It was just, let me look at the scores, okay? Last month, because the last month has been, it was brutal, terrible. Let's start at that overtime game took place on March 10th against the Blues. They won that game. They lose to LA, who's snuck into the playoff picture. They beat the Flames. They beat the Maple Leafs. Islanders swept the Rangers, Devils, and Maple Leafs this year and couldn't manage to make the playoffs. It's the first year. This is the first time ever since the Devils entered the league, and I believe it was like 82 or something like that, sometime in the 80s, where all three tri-state teams missed the playoffs. That shouldn't have happened. Islanders should have made the playoffs. You lose to the Senators on March 19th, which was such a heartbreaking loss. You know, Brady Tkachuk scored that goal with less than 20 seconds to go. Less than 30 seconds, whatever it was. Should have been a cross-check on that play. Won't lie. But, and Senators ended up squeaking into the playoffs, and they're a gritty team. They're really a gritty team. I like the Senators. I like the Senators in that series against Carolina. I don't think they'll come out with a win. I think they'll lose in like 6. But, the Senators, they're a good team. They're a gritty team. Then you lose to the Habs. The Habs are a wagon, dude. Cole Caulfield, 50 goals. Unbelievable. So then we get to that point where I was talking about where you win 1-0 against Columbus, lose 4-3 to the Blackhawks. You cannot be losing to the Blackhawks this late in the season. You win 2-1 against the Stars, beat the Panthers 5-2. Then this is where it all unfolds. The Penguins lost 8-3. Sabres lost 4-3. Should have maybe gotten a point in that game. You tied it late. It was a good game to watch. Tied it late. Mind you, the Islanders, I don't think the Islanders deserved to win that game at all. But they could have gotten a point. They give up a goal with, I think it was 3.5 minutes left. Then you lose to the Flyers on April 3rd. Horrible game to watch. It felt like, and I never heard of this goalie before that was in net. I don't even know his name for the Flyers. But he was saving every shot that was being flung on net. And then you go to the Hurricanes game. You have 6 shots, 5-6 shots in 2 periods entering the third. That's unacceptable. You can't, I don't think that the puck was in Carolina's zone for more than 5 minutes between the first and second period. Then the third period, you turn it on. Sure. It's not going to win you games. 20 minutes is not going to win you games. 60 minutes wins you games. 20 minutes is not going to do it. It's just so frustrating to watch, dude. And at this point, from the Philly game, it's like, hey, Islanders win. Philly's probably out of the playoff picture. Because Philly was still making their way up. They were still fighting for a spot. But they weren't in, right? They weren't guarantee. Nobody thought Philly was going to make the playoffs a month ago. Nobody. And then Philly just comes out of nowhere. Nobody on Philly's roster, I believe, has more than 70 points. There's not one player that has more than 70 points on Philly's roster. Maybe more than 60. So, I mean, Owen Tippett, he's been a beast. Trevor Zegras has been a beast. I think his name's Martone. Martone's going to be, I think he's going to be a big part of the Flyers in that playoffs, in the playoffs. You know, he scored that overtime goal against Boston on Easter Sunday. You know, he was a top 10 pick. So I think he's going to be a big part. That was his first goal. And that game, I watched that Boston-Philly game. He was all over the place. He was up and down the ice. I think he's going to be a big part of that Philly playoff team. And that Philly, oh my gosh, I can't wait for Philly-Pittsburgh. That's going to be a great series, and I cannot wait to watch that Battle of Pennsylvania. I think it's going to be a wonderful series to watch. So you lose 4-3 to the Hurricanes. You give up another shorthanded goal in that game that was the difference maker. You beat Toronto, and this is the last 4 games of the season. You got to win all 4 games in order to get in the playoffs. I think if they won all 4 games, I still don't think they would have made it. I think Philly was just too hot, and Philly ended up winning the last few games. You beat Toronto, and then you lose 3-0 to the Sens, come out completely flat. Then you lose to the Habs, and then, you know, you lost to the Habs, and now it's over. So the Habs are just too good. They're too young. They're a lot younger than the Islanders. Islanders are still one of the oldest teams in the league, and they have been for the past 5-6 years now. So Habs are too good, and then they lose to the Hurricanes. Not like it mattered, but, you know, it would have been nice to end the season with a win, but they can't get it done. And now Philly is in that 3 seed, 4 in the NHL. The NHL's got to fix their playoff format, and because you can't have a matchup, like, don't get me wrong, these first round matchups, some of them are really, really good. Like Tampa Bay, Montreal, they shouldn't be playing each other in the first round. Both teams are they're both powerhouses, right? Montreal, young team, extremely good. Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Slavkovsky. I've mentioned those names before when talking about the Olympics a month or 2 ago. And then you got Tampa Bay, obviously, Nikita Kucherov, Vasilevsky in net. Vasilevsky's still tearing it up. And, you know, those 2 teams cannot be playing each other in the playoffs. Same goes for Dallas and Minnesota. Those 2 teams can't be playing each other in the playoffs. Those 2 teams are wagons, right? There's something about the playoff format that they need to fix. Whether they just do it by conferences like they do it with the NBA, which I think is kind of interesting. In my opinion, I think the whole NBA play-in thing, I like it. I know a lot of people don't like it. I like it a lot because, you know, you have the 9 and 10 seeds who are very evenly matched, play each other to play another game against whoever wins the 7 and 8 seed or whoever loses the 7 and 8 seed game. I kind of like it. I mean, I was watching the Warriors game last night with one of my buddies, and, you know, the Steph Curry just completely went off. He had 35-plus points or something like that. So I kind of like it, and I think that the NHL should do something like that and just make it conferences, right? So, like, you would have, I don't know, like Pittsburgh playing a team like, I don't know, the Senators or something like that. I think they should split it up, and then Boston playing Philly. I think you should split it up into those conferences, something like that. But yeah, Minnesota and hold on, sorry. I'm getting distracted by myself again. There we go. Minnesota and Dallas, they can't be playing each other. I think Minnesota's going to win that series. I think Minnesota's going to make it to the Stanley Cup final. Hot take, but, you know, yeah. The last week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, It's been extremely frustrating. I even forgot to mention, after losing to the Hurricanes on the 4th, that week, they had like a 4-day break. They needed to regroup. Thomas Hickey said on the broadcast, hey, this team's just got to regroup. They got to find their mojo again. And then a couple of days later, I think it was literally Easter Sunday, they ended up, on Easter Sunday, they fired Patrick Waugh and brought in Peter DeBoer, who has, a history of taking teams deep into the playoffs, like the Stars. So I think it was, obviously at the end of the day, it comes down to the players, but I think Waugh just completely lost the locker room. And there needed to be some sort of culture change around the team. So, yeah, I'm not. I don't even know what to say for this team, because I totally expected, in January, even February, around the Olympic break, I think many people expected the Islanders to be in the playoffs. Before the season, nobody expected the Islanders to be in the playoffs. But, when you have a Calder Trophy defenseman who tied Brian Leetch for most goals by a rookie defenseman, who completely changed the culture of this team. Matthew Schaefer is just an incredible kid who many young kids look up to, and the kid's 18 years old. Many kids look up to guys like Matthew Schaefer, and he was unbelievable this season. He kind of fizzled out over the past week or so, past 2 weeks. So, and then you have, I don't think he's going to win it, but a Vezina caliber goaltender in Ilya Sorokin. I don't think he's going to win it just because of how his team fell off. Bo Horvat kind of faded a little bit. Matt Barzal kind of faded a little bit. So as a whole, this team is, I'm hoping that this team does something in the offseason. I don't know how to feel about Matthew Darche right now. I'm hearing a lot of mixed feelings online about Matthew Darche. I'm going to give it time just because I know he's a Stanley Cup winning general manager. So, I'm going to give it some time to make a judgment on Matthew Darche. But, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the Islanders right now. So, and talking about it more is just making me more and more upset. So, and then we got another team that's not doing too well right now. This freaking team right here, bro. The New York Mets. And, I was really, really excited to talk about the Mets on this podcast, finally. Like when they're playing games, obviously. So, but the Mets have been just abysmal. And to see them not even, they're not even, competing with these teams, dude. Yeah, you win opening day against Pittsburgh, you win that series or whatever, and then you win a game against St. Louis. Let me pull up the schedule. Win a game against St. Louis, and then I think you lose that series, right? Am I wrong? Excuse me. Yeah, they win the series. They start 2-0 against the Pirates. Should have won the third game. That went into extra innings. Then you beat the Cardinals in the first game of the series, lose two back-to-back games against Cardinals, should have won the final game of the series. Just the offense is just horrific. The offense is terrible. And I don't understand it either because you're rolling out a lineup, Lindor, Soto, Bichette, who you paid $40+ million for per season. Bichette. Robert has been the only consistent player in this lineup, whether it's defensively or offensively. Nobody in the lineup has been consistent offensively. But I'd say the most consistent right now is Robert. He's been drawing walks. He's been getting hits. Hit a walk-off home run against... Who did he hit a walk-off home run against recently? Was it the Diamondbacks? Might have been the Diamondbacks. Or was it against the Pirates? It was the Pirates. Sorry. Second game of the season. He hit a walk-off home run against the Pirates. You're like, damn. This could be the Luis Robert that once was, right? Then you go to San Francisco. Drop the first game. And you win the last 3. You scored 10 runs, 9 runs, and then 5 runs, right? To start the season, they weren't even scoring over 3 runs a game. That's not going to win you baseball games. They started scoring runs. It was great to see. You got Francisco Alvarez contributing. You got Carson Bench contributing. You got Jared Young contributing. Then you win the first game against the Diamondbacks. And then you lose back-to-back games. 2 runs, 1 run. Then you get swept by the A's at home. And Jeff McNeil is just going nuts against us. Played 20 games so far, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of the 20 games. So, what is that? 20%? 20% of the games you got shut out. What happened to this offense that was supposed to be so promising? $300+ million payroll, by the way. And you can't figure it out? What are we doing? What are we doing? You got David Peterson, who sucks out there. He's been awful. McLean's been dealing. Devin Williams gives up a grand slam yesterday. And to top it off, where is Francisco Lindor? What planet is Francisco Lindor on right now? Like, don't get me... I mean, I'm not going to lie. I don't really believe in all, like, he's a cancer. He's terrible when it comes to the media. He doesn't like Juan Soto. I don't believe in that bullshit. I think, like, don't get me wrong, he's not performing well whatsoever. But, like, everybody on the internet is just pointing out the little things that he does wrong. And it doesn't even have to do with the game of baseball. Mind you, like, yes, he's been bad when it comes to the game of baseball, especially defensively, which is, like, could arguably be his strong suit, right? He's great defensively at shortstop. But whether it's, not covering second base on a double play that leads to another run, or not charging a baseball that leads to, the grand slam last night. But just watching him right now is it's like a mystery as to where he is in his head right now. It doesn't look like he cares. He's striking me as a Matt Barzell right now. And I don't like it one bit. So, as a whole, this offense has got to pick it up. Lindor, I'm sorry, I don't mean to go back on Lindor, but, like, people pointing out the stuff that he does, like, in between at-bats. Like, he struck out to Ohtani last night, and he's smiling at Ohtani after an 11 pitch at-bat. And people were pointing out, oh, this guy doesn't care. This guy's so happy that, he's just getting paid, doesn't want to compete, whatever. I don't believe in that stuff. I think he's a competitor. He's a baseball player, for crying out loud. He's making $30+ million a year. I don't believe in any of this, oh, he doesn't care. I don't believe that. I don't want to believe that. Do other people believe it? Yeah. I don't want to believe it. People are clowning Vientos for catching a ball in foul territory after making a misplay earlier on in that inning. And Vientos celebrated making that put out or whatever. And was, the fans were getting into it. That's just baseball, man. Have fun. Why are we I understand we want to win games. I understand this is a frustrating time. But we got to chill. People are so quick to judge. And I understand, and I've seen videos of Steve Gelbs. I've seen videos of Steve Gelbs on his he's been posting videos on his Instagram about how we gotta, the fans gotta relax, and that it's only mid-April. It's April 16th at the time of this recording. So we gotta just chill. We gotta just, I understand. It's been a tough time. You got swept by the A's, and then you get swept by the Dodgers, who, no really surprise there. But last night, you get a gem of an outing from Nolan McLean, who, last night was Clay Holmes. He pitched 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, and 4 strikeouts. And it's really not the starting pitching that's the issue right now, other than David Peterson, who should have been traded when his value was high last season. But he has not been the same as he was the first half of the season compared to the second half of last season. So right now, and to start again, I'm gonna touch on it again. And Freddie Peralta's been iffy. He's been okay. I like him a lot. I think he's been good. I just think he needs time to settle in as a Met. I know that's something I say often, is that somebody's just got to settle in. It's because I believe in just giving somebody time. Give them time. The wins will come. With that being said, I do think that the Mets will lose 90 games this year if you keep rolling out this lineup. If Bo Bichette doesn't somewhat pick it up or go on a hot streak, which I think he will. Soto out of the lineup doesn't help anything. He's out for another week or two. Lindor, I wonder, do you put Lindor in a playoff spot? In a leadoff spot? Do you not put Lindor in a leadoff spot? I don't know. So, yeah, there goes for my rant for today. It's been frustrating as Mets fans. It's been frustrating as Islanders fans. So, hell with it for both of these teams. Oh, and don't worry. Parlay of the Week is back. So, I know it's been a while, but Parlay of the Week is back. Saturday starts game 1 of the NBA playoffs. There's 4 games going on. I'm going to touch on all 4 games. They're all player props for these games. So to start out, I'm starting with the Atlanta Hawks and the New York Knicks. I have Karl Anthony Towns over 11.5 rebounds. He's second in the league in rebounds this season. Excuse me. He's second in the leagues in rebounds this season. He's averaging 11.9 rebounds per game. The last game he played against the Hawks, he had 12 rebounds. I think he ends up, and when it comes playoff time, I think Cat comes to play, and I think that 11.5, I think he will get 12 rebounds or so in that game. Next game, I have Toronto Raptors and Cleveland Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell over 27.5. He's been. Let me look up his stats. So I have over 27.5. He's averaging 27.9 this year, which is 7th in the league. His last 5 games consist of 31, 38, 25, 10, where he didn't play a lot, and then 34. So, and especially when it comes playoff time, I think Donovan Mitchell ends up putting up at least 25 every single game of this series. Minnesota Timberwolves and Denver Nuggets. I have Jamal Murray over 24.5 points in this game. He's averaging 25.4 a game this year. His last 5 games consist of 26, 20, 15, 37, and 20. The Nuggets do have the highest offensive rating in the NBA, and a big part of that is obviously Nikola Jokic, but also at the same time Jamal Murray. Murray's still, he's still performing at a high level, so I think Murray definitely ends up getting at least 25 in this game. And the last game I have Houston Rockets and the LA Lakers. I believe Luka is hurt. So yeah, Luka Doncic is out for this game. I would have had probably something on him just because he's been balling out this entire year. But I have Kevin Durant over 24.5. I mean, Kevin Durant is still performing at a very high level, and he's 37 still. And he's averaging 26 points a game. So in the last 5 games, it's been 33, 29, 24, 31, and 25. So let me see what the defensive rating is. And the Lakers are 20th in the league when it comes to defensive rating. So I think KD putting up 25 is an easy bucket. So all of these picks together adds up to plus 872, $1 paying out $9.72. I will be watching these playoffs. I like watching NBA playoffs, especially when the Knicks are in the playoffs. So even though I'm not a big basketball fan, haven't really followed the Knicks much this year. But I thought I'd craft up a little basketball parlay for the basketball fans that are watching. So, I have $1 paying out to $9.72 at plus 872. All right, folks, and that will do it for the 7th episode of the Coffee Break podcast. Didn't really do an Around the League segment today. I really just wanted to rant about my Islanders and Mets. I'm really, to be honest with you, I'm really happy that I don't have to talk about the Islanders anymore because it has just been, it ended up being a very frustrating season for the Islanders at the end of the day, at least. But there were a bunch of bright spots. There were a lot of exciting moments, especially for, young guys like Matthew Schaefer, a guy like Emil Heineman. That was a good pickup. You don't trade a guy like Emil Heineman. So, also I would say at the end of the day that trade ended up working out for both teams. So, Victor Eklund ended up debuting for the Islanders in his last game as well, and he recorded a point, which is pretty cool. Bo Horvat refused to take the puck from him because it was on Bo Horvat's 300th goal of his career, and he refused to take the puck from Eklund, and saying that it's, playing your first game is one of the most memorable, or is the most memorable for you. So, but anyways, that'll do it for the 7th episode of the Coffee Break podcast. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow TikTok and Instagram at the Coffee Break podcast. And, I don't know if I'm going to be recording another one. I'm hoping that I get another one in at some point. But until then, I will see you guys in the near future. All right. Peace out, everybody. Take care.